Okay, in this video, I'm going to review a couple problems and you're going to learn something new. So I need to graph this equation. I want to graph it the quick way. I do not want to make that table where I have to plug in -2, then -1, then 0, then 1, then 2. When you have an equals and the y is on one side all by itself, the x is on the other side, that's in slope y-intercept form, slope y-int. So I go, and y equals mx, m is -3, b is 5. So I'm going to graph this equation using my slope and y-intercept. So the y-intercept, the number not being multiplied by x, is your y-intercept, 5. Okay, so I go 0, 5. That's an xy coordinate. So I go on the y, I don't move forward or backwards when finding the y-intercept. I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I use my slope to get a bunch of other points, okay? Slope is the coefficient of x, put a 1 under it, and it's rise over run. So the rise is -3, and then we go run forward. Remember, that is still, the negative is only with the top number. So I go 1, 2, 3, and I go forward 1. Don't ever go backwards when doing a slope. I disagree with that a ton, okay? And then you take a ruler. I got to put my camera down, and then I connect the points. I can't really graph. I need 2 hands to graph with my ruler. Okay, arrows on both ends because that can go on forever. And then before I got my y-intercept, it was way up here. Okay, next one, y equals 1/2 x plus 7. Again, you're going to want to circle your equals. The y is all by itself, and then x is on the other side with some operations. Get the x, and then 7's a constant. So that's in slope y-intercept form. Okay, so you want to label m and b. Y equals mx plus b. That's the formation it's in. Okay, so my y-intercept is 7. That's the constant. And then my slope I can easily see is 1/2. Again, you just leave it as a fraction. So plot your y-intercept point. So on the y-axis, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now my slope is rise over run. The 1 is positive, so it's an upward rise and then a forward run. It's always a run forward. Nobody runs backwards. You can run up a hill or down a hill, but you're not going to run backwards. That's ridiculous. So I go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2. The line just keeps on going. You could sit there and do that all day if the graph was big enough. And we put arrows on both ends. Okay, so everybody gets that, I think. I've been looking at these assignments most anyway. Okay. Now you're going to learn something new. It's going to be necessary. You're going to need it. In the class, I should say. Draw a line with the given intercepts. An intercept of a graph is where it crosses that axis. So you get x here and y here. Now the y-intercept's 5, so you're going to graph the y-intercept the same way you just did. You just go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the x-intercept's different, okay? For the x-intercept 3, you go back to the middle on the x line. You go back to the middle. Not from here. This totally has nothing to do with this, okay? And x-intercept's 3, so I move forward 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I can make a line out of that. It's just 2 points, but I can easily take my ruler, match it up on 2 points, and make my line. Right there. This is not all you're doing today, by the way. I know some of you are getting giddy. That's it? Okay. Now it gets a little more complicated than that. Okay, now again, your x-intercept. First plot your y-intercept. Your y-intercept's -4, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You're familiar with how to do a y-intercept. But an x-intercept, you go back to the middle, and then you go forward 1. Make sure you go back to the middle. This is not a coordinate point. What I'll have some people do is they'll go right 1, up 4, just make a point and leave it. No, it says draw a line, okay? So just making a coordinate point isn't a line there, homie, okay? Okay, that's it. I'll do another one. Okay. So Y-intercept -3. I know how to do a Y-intercept. It's down 1, 2, 3. And then the X-intercept means I go back to the origin, the middle, and then I go forward 4. Remember, forward's positive, backwards is negative. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're like, I thought you never knew backwards. Well, not with a slope you don't. Slope has nothing to do with this, okay? There you go. All right, now here's the meat and potatoes here. Graph the equation 2x minus 8y equals -16. Well, you're not going to use slope-intercept to graph it because in order to use slope-intercept, the y has to be over here by itself. Now, we did an assignment a couple days ago where you got the y by itself and then found the slope and the y-intercept. But when I actually have to graph the line, there's a lot of crap that can go wrong. I could miss a negative. I could put something in the wrong place. Okay, there's just a lot of different things that can go wrong when you do that. So we're going to not rewrite this, okay? We're going to keep this in the form it's in. When the x and the y are on the same side of the equation, it's not in slope-intercept form. It's called standard form. Now, you already learned y equals mx plus b. M and b are numbers. Now, this is standard form. You got x, there'll be a number in front of it, known as a. Y, there'll be a b in front of it, known as b. And then c is the constant number. That's a number with no variable at all. And all these graphs are going to be in this formation right here. But just to make a long story short, x and y are on the same side. It's standard form. Now, if I have a standard form equation, I'm not going to attempt to rewrite it. I'm going to go with what I have. But there's a procedure you have to follow. You're going to find the x and y intercept, which is what you just did. To find that, you're going to make two coordinates, two xy coordinates, like that, x comma y. In the first coordinate, you're going to put 0 under x. In the second coordinate, you're going to put 0 under y. And that's always what you're going to do. Then what I do is copy that equation twice. 2x minus 8y equals -16. Don't be lazy, just do it. And then I'm going to use each one to figure out the numbers that go here. So if x is 0, I'd like you to parenthesize your x, scribble it out, and put 0. Now what's 2 times 0? 0. Get rid of that then. So we have -8 times y equals -16. Now to solve for y, simply divide, because it's a multiplier, by -8. Not add 8, okay? You're not going to be doing any adding or subtracting. -16 divided by -8 is 2. So that is your y-intercept. You go up 2. Now, to find your x-intercept, now you parenthesize the y, scribble that out, and put 0. What's -8 times 0? 0. So now I have a simple equation where I have 2 times x equals -16. So I divide by 2. -16 divided by 2 is -8. So, -8, 0. That means, with the -8, 0, that means we go back to the middle, and I go backwards 8. And then I don't go up or down because y is 0. Now take your ruler and connect those points and you got your equation. Yeah, I'm not rewriting these in slope-intercept. I mean, I could, but there's a lot of crap that could go wrong, okay? That's much more efficient. It's a lot easier. Okay, next one, you got your x and y on the same side. It's in standard form. So two coordinates, 0 for x, and then 0 for y. Now write that equation down twice. Because remember I said in that assignment on Wednesday, you don't know your slope and y-intercept unless the y is by itself. I don't really care to get the y by itself. Okay, that's a lot of stuff you could, but a lot of stuff can go wrong. So if x is 0, you parenthesize the x, just put a 0. 3 times 0 is 0. So we have 4, positive 4 times y equals 24. Then I divide by 4. 24 divided by 4 is 6. So the y-intercept is 6. So go plot the y-intercept because you're familiar with that. That's the y. Okay. That's the x. Now I'm going to find my x-intercept by replacing the y with 0. And 4 times 0 is 0. Okay, so 3 times x equals 24. I divide by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, now that's the x-intercept. So now you go back to the middle, not from here. Okay, this point has nothing to do with this point. Okay, it's not a slope. It's not like you do a slope where you go from the first point. I can't emphasize that enough. Back to the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, take your ruler, connect the points. Remember, I just need 2 points to graph a line. Any line has 2 points. Okay, next one, x minus 2y equals negative 2. So again, the x and y are on the same side of the equation. That makes this standard form. So to graph an equation in standard form, I need the 2 coordinates, where I put 0 for x, 0 for y. Here's the y-intercept where the line's going to cross the y-axis. Here's the x-intercept where it's going to cross the x-axis. So I write that equation down twice. Okay, x is 0. If you want to put a 1 in front of the x, you might want to do it. I don't know. It's up to you. So x is 0. So 1 times 0 is 0. So we have negative 2 times y. The negative 2 is a multiplier on the y, so I need to divide then by negative 2. Because you're finding negative 2 times what number is negative 2? I think it's positive 1. So 1 is the y-intercept. Just go up 1. That's the y-intercept. Okay, now the x-intercept. Y is 0. So what's negative 2 times 0? It would be negative 2. So I have 1 times x equals negative 2. You can divide by 1. You don't really have to if it's 1 because it's still negative 2. Okay, now I know somebody's going to mention, well, I thought you can't go backward. Yeah, when doing a slope you can't go backward. But look, dude, I'm not using slope here, homie. Okay, so I go backward 2 because that's where negative 2's at on the x-axis. Points are really close together. Big fat hairy deal. There's a line. Okay, 3x plus 3y equals negative 15. Again, the x and y are on the same side. That's standard form. Okay, write that down twice. Okay, x is 0. You can replace your x with 0. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times y equals negative 15. So I divide by 3. Just because you see that plus 3, you don't minus it. That's a multiplier of the y. So that's negative 5 is your y-intercept. So the y-intercept's negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y is 0. Here. So 3 times that, you can get rid of that crap thing because that just multiplies to 0. Divide by 3. Negative 15 divided by 3 is negative 5. Now that's the x-intercept, okay? So I go backwards 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can have this y-intercept and x-intercept can have the same value, but they're going to be 2 different points, so just know that. Again, 1 point should be on the x-axis, 1 point should be on the y-axis. Okay, there's my line. By the way, the beauty of getting the graph down is now, just by looking at the line, you can find the slope without rewriting it. You don't have to do it, but I'm saying, it's like right there, you know. Those are 2 points, so right there I'm down 2 over 2. That makes my slope negative 2 over 2, which would be negative 1. Okay, so I know my slope without having to rewrite it. Okay, negative 3x plus 6y equals 12. So, again, the equals, the x and y, that's how you know to use this. When the x and the y are on the same side, it's in standard form. Zero and 0. So I write that out twice. Writing out twice helps me. I don't know. Some of you might recognize how to get it the short way, but I'm going to just teach it that way. You got to figure out short ways on your own. Okay, I allow them, but it's something you have to figure out. If you can't, you use the algorithm way. So negative 3 times 0 is 0. So 6 times y is 12, so y would equal 2. It's kind of common sense. So up 2 is your y-intercept. Because if I set x equal to 0, y ends up as 2. So now if I set the y equal to 0, I'm finding the x coordinate that goes with it. 6 times 0 is 0. Negative 3 times x equals 12, and I divide by negative 3. 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4. So remember, that's your x-intercept. So now you go backwards 4, and you don't move at all vertical. Okay, you stay right there because your y is 0. It means you don't move vertical. Here you don't move horizontal. Here you don't move any vertical. Okay, ruler, make the line, get arrows on both ends. Okay, last graph, and then you got another thing you have to do. X minus 4y equals 8. Okay, x and y again on the same side, standard form. Write that out twice. And I'm going to recommend you put a 1 in front of the x in both of them, okay? X is 0. Would you have to? No, but you might get confused without it there. 1 times 0 is 0. Now I have negative 4 times y equals 8, so divide by negative 4. Divide by negative 4. 8 divided by negative 4 is negative 2, so that's your y-intercept. Y is 0. Okay, so replace your y with 0. What's negative 4 times 0? That'd be 0, so this is out. 1 times x, you can divide by 1, but it's just going to be 8. If you didn't put the multiplier 1, then you just, you'd see that x equals 8. You wouldn't have to divide. Okay. And here I just put a 0 in for x, and that's out. Okay, so I go down 2 for my y-intercept. Kind of forgot to make that. And then the 8 is the x-intercept. So if we're at 8, that's forward 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, then I take the ruler and make the line. Okay, now there are like random questions every now and then. They're kind of dumb, I'm not going to lie. Find the x and y intercepts of each equation's graph. You just don't have to graph it. You're doing the same thing. You just don't need to graph it. Okay, 0, 0. Write that down twice. It's pretty repetitive, I'm not going to lie. Okay, so if x is 0, 0, 2 times 0 is 0, and then 5 times y equals 20, divide by 5. 20 divided by 5 is 4. Now if the y is 0, 5 times 0 is 0. 2 times x is 10, so I divide by 2 and I get 10. Now I just don't have to graph it. There you go. Okay, next one. 0, 0. Write that out twice. Okay, get rid of x is 0, meaning 5 times 0 is 0, so negative 6 times y equals 60. Remember, if it's got a minus in front of it, you have to divide by negative 6, not positive 6, so that's negative 10. Okay, y is 0. Negative 6 times 0 is 0. And then 5 times x equals 60, divided by 5, and 60 divided by 5 is 12. Okay, 2x plus 4y equals 12. When they say find the x, y-intercept, that's two coordinates where you put 0 for x, that'll find the y-intercept, 0 for y, that'll find the x-intercept. So 2x plus 4y equals 12, 2x plus 4y equals 12. So the x is replaced with 0, 2 times 0 is 0. The y is replaced with 0, 4 times 0, 0. So 4 times y equals 12, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Divide by 2, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So okay, last one. This one's kind of meh when you see it. These problems here, it's important you put the ones in front, okay? Otherwise you get really the wrong answer. So put coefficients of 1 then. Coefficient means a multiplier of a variable. So x is 0. So when I use that term, that's what I'm talking about. Negative 1 times 0 is 0. Then you have negative 1y times 7. Y equals negative 7. Well, I can just divide by negative 1, and that finds the y value. So that's 7. Y is 0. That product's 0, so you can get rid of that. Negative 1 times x equals negative 7, divided by negative 1. And that's also 7, okay? Those are different coordinates, so you could possibly get the same y and x, but they're different coordinates.